Hello and welcome to tonight's show. My name is Micah. Tonight we're going to be talking about a brand new series now streaming on the Angel Guild. The series is called Jungle Kids. It's another series from the Wild Brothers. You know them, you love them, and tonight we're going to chat with them live. So please put questions down below. We're going to have a Q&A period right at the end of the show. And if you want to pause, go watch Jungle Kids right now on the Angel platform. It is live. You can go to angel.com/Jungle Kids Live. Sign up to become a guild member there, and you can watch the show until your heart's content. And you gain access to a bunch of other content, including more stuff from the Wild Brothers. So please check that out, angel.com/Jungle Kids Live. Become a member today. But without further ado, let's jump right into it. Let's bring on the Wild Brothers. Hey, how are we doing?
Hey, everybody.
Hey, guys. Hey, what's up, Micah?
Man, it is good to see you all again.
I know. I feel like just a little bit ago when we had our first live stream with you.
Yeah,
awesome
I
to be back.
agree. Yeah, you guys just keep releasing more and more content. I love to have you back
Yes,
over and
sir.
over again. Just keep it coming. It's great.
That's the plan.
Yep.
Yeah, tonight it'll be a little different. We're missing one brother, as you can tell. Brother number 2, Hudson, he just became a dad again. So his second little child was born December 1st. So he's
The
actually
little wild boy.
Yeah, he's out taking care of his little son and just taking a break. They haven't been getting much sleep the last couple of nights. So we said, hey, we'll cover the live stream. And there's going to be a whole new generation of Wild Brothers one day. So there's only 4 of us for now, but eventually, man, there's going to be like 20 of us. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a whole nother series you guys can start right there. That's great.
Right, here we go.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Well, for the audience members who might not know your guys' background and how you started making series and educational content, do one of you mind just kind of going through your story really quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're pretty thrilled tonight to be sharing kind of the backstory of the Wild Brothers, and it all started with this show, Jungle Kids. We've shared a little bit on Angel Studios throughout the Couch into Creation and Trail Hacks, and we kind of tapped into it a little bit in the story about our background as missionary kids growing up in the jungles of Southeast Asia. But tonight we actually get to share about a show that is featured from the jungles itself. And so Jungle Kids is kind of the origin story, the untold story of the Wild Brothers, and it kind of documents our real life adventures growing up as missionary kids off the beaten track in the jungle. So
Yeah.
pretty different, pretty fun.
So we grew up our whole childhood in Southeast Asia in the jungles. Asher was actually born over on that side of the world. So that was basically our whole experience. And it was way out there. It was in the middle of nowhere, basically only accessible by a helicopter. And we lived there not because it was just cool and the jungle was awesome, but the people there had never been exposed to the gospel before. So they didn't have the Bible in their language. They didn't have access to the internet or Angel Studios or any faith-based platform that they could learn about Jesus and what he did. And so my family and another family, we went there to live with them and just get to know them and become part of their culture, and eventually get to the point to where we understood their language enough to just share with them the Bible, so they could decide whether or not they wanted to listen to this or not. So that was why we were out there. And us boys, though, we just got to tag along and enjoy life in the jungle and go on adventures and homeschool. So it was a pretty cool upbringing. And we lived there until we were all in like our late teens. I think I was 18 when we came back to the States. So we just got back to the States recently. And that was basically our whole lives over there in Indonesia.
No, I love it. The first thing I noticed when seeing content from the Jungle Kids was it really is like a look back in time. You guys look so much younger.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's been
Our
a few
very
years.
first series.
Yeah, I think it's been about 15 or 16 years. So we look quite a bit different.
And I would like to tell people, like, yeah, we've been filmmaking for like over a decade, you know.
We started when we were 5, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy though, to have the vision and the push through to just make something that young is super duper impressive and so well made too. So thank you for taking the initiative. We're the beneficiaries of that for sure.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, it's our privilege. It's fun. It's pretty cool to see what was very much a homemade project now land on Angel Studios. And it's kind of just a testimony to the power of the Guild. And really, the Guild decides what content lands. And it can be, $1 million project or a super low budget project, but if the heart's there, people are interested. So it's been pretty cool to just experience that in our filmmaker journey, partnering with Angel.
So true.
And with all the content that you guys are making, this series and everything, you kind of take a different angle with the shows that you put out. What would you say is the differentiating factor with Jungle Kids? What's the quick premise behind the show?
For sure. Jungle Kids is kind of like, it's kind of like Duck Dynasty meets like the Croods. Like it's all like reality TV, our adventures, like, you know, family life, homeschooling, normal life. But then mixed in are like these crazy jungle adventures of us tracking down crazy wild animals, swimming with like the biggest fish in the world,
riding around in helicopters,
going
off trail into the most remote areas in the world.
So it's basically like a normal homeschooling family, but in the jungle.
Yeah. And it was really fun too because, you know, we grew up most of our lives overseas, like Kian said, but over the years we would come back to the States periodically for furloughs, and all of our friends would ask us questions about, you know, how are you guys surviving out in the wild? Are you guys like eating buds to survive? And where do you get your water and your food? And we would try to tell them stories, but it was really hard without visualizing it. And so that was one of the main ways to do that, is we made this show so we could share with all of our friends actually what daily life was like in the jungle. And so when you watch through the whole series, you get a really good perspective of what it's like actually being a modern day missionary kid out in the jungle. Yeah.
Though I love that, and I have so many questions. I can see why you guys just wanted to put it on video and send everyone one video to just be like, this is what we're doing. Yeah, so it makes perfect sense. But speaking of questions, though, I just want to tell the audience again, we're having a live Q&A with the Wild Brothers. So if you have any question, anyone at all, just please comment below. We'll go through them. So please take the time. But
after we'll take all the hard questions.
All the questions, I'll answer them.
Yeah,
I got
right
it.
To him. That's great. But so we were chatting about how best to talk about the show. And I know you guys mentioned, or at least we spoke about, bringing like an item or a story from the series that really resonated with you or was like a core memory for the series. So I'd love to just jump right into that. In my list here, it has us starting with Morgan. Morgan, do you mind sharing us your item and your story?
Yeah, absolutely, Micah. Yeah, so over the years, like we said, we've been traveling back and forth. So we've been able to bring back some artifacts, and we have a few things here. This is really cool. This is actually a portion of the Wano Bible. This is the story of Acts, the book of Acts. All is translated in the Wano language, and there's only a couple Western families in the world that can speak it. But this little people group, numbering a little over 1,500 individuals, you know, was on God's heart, and we believe that everybody has a right to have access to the scriptures in their own heart language. And so, my parents were Bible translators by trade, and so that was one of the main reasons we went over there, was to give people access to God's word. And so living among them full time, like Kian said, learning their heart language, earning the right to speak, caring for them through medical, and then eventually getting to the point where we could actually start communicating truth and then start translating, was just an amazing journey. And the Wano tribe really did become like our family. They raised us, they loved us, they took care of us, they really taught us all the jungle ways as well. So we were very much integrated in the culture. But the Wano Bible is an ongoing translation project. There's still portions of the Old Testament that aren't complete. That's an ongoing project. So it's a really cool testimony to that hard work. And we also have some interesting artifacts. So
yeah, we wanted to show you guys a little bit about kind of like the Wano culture.
Yeah. So this right here is you can see it's a bone dagger.
Wow.
So this would be used for like warfare and stuff.
And
so it was a very much like, they were very isolated. And so they kind of had to use what was around them. The jungle, stones, trees, and then, bones like this. So,
they didn't have, any kind of metal. And so bone is one of the hardest, resources that doesn't degrade too fast. And so, you can literally just grab this and use hand-to-hand combat. And it's actually, you can't tell, it's actually very sharp. Like,
pretty intense.
You could totally get stabbed with this. So,
and I believe this is from a cassowary.
Yeah, this is a cassowary bone. So a lot of people don't know what a cassowary is, but they're indigenous mostly to Indonesia, and they're the second largest bird in the world. And they're actually very dangerous. They have really sharp claws in their feet, and they can kick you and actually disembowel you and stuff. So, not to get too graphic. We don't. The show is very kid friendly. We don't talk about that, but this is behind the scenes. So, anyways, but
and this is pretty cool too. So again, no metal, and so this is actually what they would use to chop down trees with. This is an axe head, and so they would go into the rivers and find smooth stones, and then actually like sharpen them to an edge to where they could chop down trees. So the Wano people were just absolutely brilliant. And it was super cool that we could kind of grow up with them and learn all their ways of the jungle, because they knew the jungle like the back of their hands, and they were able to even take resources like this that you'd usually just pass over and use it to be able to create houses and chop trees down and make gardens. And so it was super cool to be able to live among them and learn their ways.
Let me tell you, you have to be pretty strong to chop a tree down with this, because it is sharp for a stone,
But the trees in the jungle were absolutely massive. I mean, one could easily fit, the tree trunk this entire room that we're in right now. And so these guys would, and you have to fell a lot of trees in one garden, just for one garden. And so they would just all day hack away. And so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we also brought some of their weapons as well. Asher showed you the dagger. This is we're in a small room, but these are some different arrows. Yeah. And the Wano arrows were beautiful and ornate. Everyone had a different design. It was designed to kill a specific animal or person. The tips were all carved out of hardwood or bone, and it's pretty interesting growing up in a very very tribal context, and kind of like Dances with Wolves in a sense, learning a lot about worldview and culture that's so far removed from what we would typically experience in the West. So it's a very different childhood, but it really shaped who we are, and you see a glimpse of that in some of our shows. But Jungle Kids is kind of the best picture of that.
I did want to mention that real quick, that you can differentiate these a little bit. So this one right here, this thicker one, is used mostly in war because it's quite wide, and then also for shooting pigs with. And then this one right here, you can tell it has these little notches in it. And this is a little graphic, but you basically like shoot it in. And then actually, if you try to rip the the shaft out, then those little pieces will break off inside you and get infected later. Wow. And then this one is really cool. It's actually covered with bone. And I don't know why, but they would carry this around with them. This is actually like for shooting evil spirits with. That's what they would say, which is very, very interesting, because obviously you think of spirit you can't shoot, but that's what they would do. They have these bone-tipped arrows specifically for that. So there's a lot of culture that goes into all these arrows. It's pretty neat.
That's another kind of point behind the show, is that we wanted to expose our audience that there's, people in the world that are just like us. It's the same. They have families and they live in communities, but have different cultures and have different worldviews. Mm-hmm. And some of the things that you need to kind of break down and understand before you can share the gospel with someone. Mm-hmm. And that's the same for, a people group over in Indonesia or your neighbor. You have to learn about them and learn their worldview before you get into deeper conversation.
Build relationships is the most crucial anywhere in the world.
So we like to share some things like that in the show as well, which are hard to just explain to someone talking, but if you have a visual, it's pretty helpful. Yeah.
I was going to say, Asher actually got shot by an arrow one time.
I did. Right. This is a funny story. I think I was about 5 at the time, and I can make it more dramatic than it actually was, but I wasn't, a lot of times we didn't even wear shoes at all in the jungle. Thankfully, I got shot in the foot. Thankfully, I actually had a pair of shoes on at the time. It was a pair of Crocs, like those little, the little Crocs shoes. Yeah. So not the most durable shoe, definitely. But this guy, he wasn't shooting at me. He was shooting. I don't even know what he was shooting at. Practice or something. Yeah, he was just target practice for fun. The guys there, they like to walk around with their bows and look all tough. And he was a young guy, and he missed, and he shot a rock instead, and it ricocheted off the rock and went over and went into the side of my foot. And I was about 5 at the time, so I just remember like standing there and looking down, and there was like an arrow sticking out of my foot, and it was a little traumatizing. It was more traumatizing than painful, I think. Thankfully, the Croc actually saved me. Like it took most of the blow, and it just went in a little bit. But I remember limping around for days after that. I was like, I had so much PTSD.
He didn't do chores for like a week, and he kept complaining.
No. That's
he's still recovering to this day.
That's right.
Yeah. I can show you. I'll show you the scar.
Anyway, so it was definitely a different upbringing, very, very different than what you typically experience here. But we wouldn't trade it for the world.
We loved every minute of it.
Yeah, it was fun. Arrows and all. Yep. Getting shot and all.
No, I love that, and I love it's just really just bringing us, the audience, into your lives. I think it's so interesting because I felt like with every item you're bringing up, I was like, oh, that's interesting and crazy. And then it just got more interesting and more interesting with every single item. That's so cool. And I think in my notes, like, you guys mentioned this stuff in the series, in the series Jungle Kids. Like it says in episode 6, you guys talk about the translation of the Bible into their language. Mm-hmm. And so that's just so cool and interesting, and seeing the Great Commission in action is just so cool.
Right.
But I also have in my notes here, Kian, do you have an item to share with us?
I do, yes. So we got to have all sorts of crazy pets, of course, living in the jungle. From the cassowary bird, that this is from crazy. It looks like a velociraptor, basically. Down to our favorite pet, which was a couscous, Newt the couscous.
But isn't that a pasta?
Yeah, Newt the couscous is an amphibian or pasta. Yeah, it's a marsupial, so it's in like the possum family, but like 100 times as cute. Mm-hmm. And so the plush Newt was made, so we brought this along.
We don't have the real thing.
We don't have the real thing anymore, but Newt was our favorite pet, and we did a limited edition of this for all the people who watched Jungle
This
Kids.
actually became sold out pretty fast.
Yep.
This is a little plush of our pet Tus Newt, and they're really cool because they have pouches like a marsupial. You can kind of see from the video there. They're absolutely, well, I think they're adorable. They're super fuzzy.
Best pet in the world.
Absolutely.
Very curly tail, and they eat anything, and they're naturally potty trained, and they're great around kids. So really,
but we love that Newt is featured in the whole series, and that we got to share her. She passed away many years ago, but we love that we were able to kind of immortalize her through the series, so that people can enjoy her all across the world, because she was just the coolest little part of God's creation ever.
Oh, that's so cool. And I love what you're saying about like good around kids and everything else like that.
That's right.
Yeah. She seemed like very domesticated, which is so cool. Like, would she just run out into the jungle and come back at night?
No, her parents were killed by hunters, so we kind of took her when she was little, and they're nocturnal. Most marsupials are, and so during the day she was always very docile and calm.
Oh, gotcha.
And then usually they're a little bit more rowdy at night, but she would just basically lay on the couch all day, and like Asher said, she's naturally potty trained, so she had like a little cage that we'd take her out to in the evening sometime, and she was just a great pet. Very lazy, just lay on her back, propped out like Garfield. So yeah, she's a great addition to Jungle Kids. A fun little reoccurring creature.
Oh, that's so cool. I think the last item is from Asher, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So for my story, part of living in the jungle does involve eating some weird things. And that's one of the most common questions that we get is, what's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten? And we definitely have some fun moments like that in the show. And like growing up in the jungle, we ate, bats and grubs and bugs and cicadas.
Like cheese, actually. It was kind of weird how much like cheese it tasted like. Yeah.
I must have gotten bad grubs when I grew up, because I don't remember them tasting like cheese. But and brains and stuff like that. But in Jungle Kids, there's this one scene that everybody always talks about, and it's we're out. We loved collecting growing up, and every month when the moon was dark, the new moon, we would get a giant flashlight, and we did this big white sheet on our back porch, and there was no other lights around because we're out in the middle of the jungle. And so all the moths would come to our house, and we would collect them. And we actually collected a bunch of new species. In fact, there's actually a moth that's named after us. It's called Hampsoni wildi. And so it's pretty funny. But when we would be collecting, there would be all these buds that would always be coming, and there would be a bunch of these big cicadas and big hawk moths, and all of our friends.
A delicacy.
Yeah, they love to roast them on the fire, and we would be collecting for hours at a time. And so halfway through, we would have a little break, and we would go over to the fire pit and throw some cicadas in there and then munch on them. So, those were not the tastiest. You had to be really careful to brush your teeth really good afterwards. But it was just part of during the jungle. There were no Doritos, and so this was kind of the chips of the jungle, I guess you could say. They're very crunchy. And probably pretty nutritious. I mean, I don't know the exact fats, but, Bear Grylls, whenever he eats a bug, he's always like, this bug has more protein than an entire Angus beef steak, And I'm like, really? But I'm sure they were very nutritious, So when people ask us, oh, did you get enough to eat out in the jungle? I'm always like, oh, yeah, for sure. This is those cicadas, packed with protein and everything you need.
But we don't do that here. We don't eat bugs.
Yeah, we don't eat bugs here, unfortunately. But here in the States, there's kind of your own equivalent of bugs, and there's like lots of candy and stuff. And so we actually brought
the American version.
We don't eat
snacks.
Yeah, this is the American version of
the live stream.
That is the American version. Yes.
All right. So I don't even know if I've ever really tried one of these before, but we're gonna try the American version of the grub. So here we go. All right, guys, you ready? Cheers. All right.
Cheers.
Give it a shot.
Oh
my goodness.
Oh.
Actually, high fructose corn syrup. It is what it is.
Well, they're really chewy.
That's such an improvement to cicadas. Wow.
Not bad. There's pros and cons to every meal, but this tastes better. I think I'm good with the American version.
American version wins for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they'd win for me as well. The American version. Were there any meals that you had in the jungle that you think people in the West would be like, oh, I'm not sure I would try that, but like you've tried it and it was actually very, very good. Do you think there are any meals that people would be surprised by?
Oh, for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, the sweet potatoes over there are definitely far
Really?
superior to the American sweet potatoes. That was the Wana people's main diet. There's all sorts of them. But yeah, one of the coolest meals they would make was out of this crazy looking fruit called dagu. And it basically has all these little red seeds, and you mash it up and you turn it into this big, thick, looks like tomato paste.
Yep.
And you eat that. And it's really oily. It's really good for you, but it has the craziest taste in the world. There's nothing like it. But yeah, we really love that, and we haven't been able to find it here in the States.
Honestly, all the food over there, the tropical fruits were amazing, all the vegetables, and some of the, like, there were some weird exotic things, like grubs and stuff that weren't the best, but a lot of the meats out there too were really good. They would catch wild boars and stuff like that, and actually bats surprisingly taste pretty good. So if you haven't tried one yet,
it's pretty sweet.
This is your prompt.
Yeah, we definitely kind of like the First Nations people here in North America too. The Wana were very resourceful and they wouldn't waste anything, so they'd always eat every part of every animal. So that's where you get into the weird stuff with the brains and the feet of birds and stuff that we would say like just throw it away. But they'd be like, no, we're gonna get every little last bit of meat. Cracking open the marrow and like all that stuff. So that that's we're not used to that, but they taught us to be definitely thankful for everything that's in front of you. So something we carried with us today. For sure.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense, wanting to use the entire animal. I think that's something we definitely have lost in the West. So another part of the show that is a big portion of the show, of course, you have the jungle. You have your families pursuing of the Great Commission in the remote jungle. But another big part is homeschooling, because, of course, you guys are going through a schooling process in the middle of the jungle. So I have a few questions about that. Let's just open up with the broadest of questions. But what was your experience like being homeschooled in the jungle?
Yeah, overall, it's fantastic. I think homeschooling is becoming, popular everywhere in the world. Like, there's the numbers are going up, whether you live in the jungle or in the USA. But kudos to my parents because they're on a hard spot. There's no really options for any alternative schooling, so they're kind of forced out of necessity to homeschool. But that actually turned out to be an incredible experience for us and something that, looking back on, was just awesome. So my parents were amazing teachers. My dad, before he went into missions, he had a background like marine biology, so he loved the natural world. My mom also had just some background in education, so I think it definitely helped. But I mean, they had to ship over all the books, fly them over, all the curriculum, and they just rocked it between full-time ministry, doing a ton of different things, learning unwritten language, and medical work, all this stuff. They also taught us. So they were our teachers and really championed that. And we, looking back, are just very grateful.
Yeah, we had some pretty good classmates too.
Small class. But I think I graduated top of the class.
You did. Yeah, you graduated first.
Yeah, first. So it's a very tiny ceremony.
But it was fun because like
cool.
Like half of our education was like sitting down at the math book, like trying to like work it out. And then the other half would be like helping dad set up the solar panel system, like figuring out how electricity works or our gravity fed water system. That taught us a lot about like physics and, how to move water. So there's a very practical side to our education of just living off grid and homesteading and figuring all that out. And also, like Asher was saying, we loved like scientific pursuits. We lived so remote that like not even the scientists had gotten out that far. And so the backyard was just full of new discoveries.
That's right.
So some of our best friends were like these old, like 70-year-old, like Dutch scientists. Like their whole life was like, focused on like one little subgenus of, beetle or something. And we just have a great time like learning from them. So it was a pretty fun education. I think we all enjoyed it a lot.
I think
it was well balanced.
Just for me personally, I think too, just being in a different culture 24/7, you're living with a different people group, hearing a bunch of different languages all the time, seeing how different cultures do things differently. All of that, I think it really gave us a part of, in a sense, our education that we would not have been able to experience if we had just stayed here in the States all of our lives. So super grateful for that too.
And what's fun about Jungle Kids is that it really documents that season that we were growing in our love for adventure and discovery and in our faith in Christ and learning about Scripture. And so it really captures the fun time of us growing our love for everything that we love now.
Definitely.
No, and I couldn't agree more. I think there are so many folks who, both my parents were educators, and my father actually ran part of the homeschool curriculum that would bring people into the school for like science and other stuff. And a lot of people, they're like, oh, homeschoolers, like, did you miss this, or like, what parts of life did you miss? And I feel like this show is goes right to the heart of that question, as in, like, no, there's like, we're learning so much, especially like you guys were mentioning, hands-on stuff, which I think is a lot of times what people miss when they're not homeschooled is, you know, they're just sitting in a classroom all day. So what do you think people who might not have that experience of being homeschooled would be able to pick up from this Jungle Kids series?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest takeaways from the show is that if we weren't homeschooled, I don't think we would ever created the show, actually. Like, homeschooling really empowered us to think outside the box. It empowered us to have more curricular time. It kind of empowered us to really just the freedom to be creative and like pursue things like filmmaking. And so I think at an early age, just that element of creativity was really instilled in us, and a lot of it was through homeschooling. And so I think kind of just us being able to, as you know, middle schoolers, like start filmmaking and pursue that was really a testimony to our homeschooling background. So,
and also just that, like, homeschooling, it's not like rocket science. Like, we could pull it off in the middle of the jungle. So if like we could do it in the middle of the jungle, then here in the States, like, you know, you're able to do it. It's like, you know, we think like education is like this big scary monster. It's like, oh man, how am I going to educate my kids? But we have a good friend, Ginny Urich, and she loves homeschooling, but she just came with this book, and what it was about is basically like, if you're doing it, then you're doing it right. And that's kind of it with homeschooling. Like, just kind of get into it, and they're going to be, you know, every family is going to be different. So sometimes you're going to do half homeschool, half co-op or whatever, but there's lots of helps, and it's not that hard. It's not rocket science.
I think too, homeschooling families really get a special bond with each other, because I think the way God designed the family is to be together a lot more during the day. And so when kids do have so much time away from their parents, especially at a young age, they don't get the same discipleship and mentorship. And I feel like later in life, maybe they're not quite as close. So like our family, like, we're just such a team, and homeschooling really allowed us to be a team, to stay a team. And our parents were able to really influence us in amazing ways, not for the worse, but for the better. Really, we owe so much to our parents. They're really able to instill in us really great values, and even allow us to get ahead with school. Like, he graduated 2 years early, and you can do that with homeschooling, because it actually, you can set your own pace and work harder if you want to.
That's right.
And there's that great work ethic that comes with that. And sometimes I feel like in public schools, you're deprived of that, because it's kind of like you have to stay in the system, you know? So
yeah, and we've all been through college and made, you know, A's, and it's like, it works, you know. So all the moms who are like in the trenches right now, it totally works, and we're a testimony to that. And it was, again, for us, it was out of necessity, but I think here, especially like in a lot of places in the world, you got the freedom to actually choose it, and it is a good alternative for sure. So yeah, Jungle Kids definitely features us like homeschooling off grid. And our whole homeschooling experience was very holistic. You know, it was much more than just the textbooks, but it was about all of life and everything that you can learn along the way.
No, I couldn't agree more. That's great. And my final question, just to wrap up the homeschooling, is, and this is a big question, but do you think there are that homeschooling would be even better than traditional school, or worse, or do you think it's more nuanced than that, or do you think this is just something you know, that all families could pursue? What do you think about that topic?
I think it's nuanced. I think one of the biggest potential pitfalls or struggles could be like the concept of isolation. Like, you know, we're in this box. It's just our family. Like, there's no outside connections, no friends. But if you're you know, you're networking and you're a part of a larger social group, you know, in your community, and or if you go to church, or if you have, like, there's so many ways to get out and about and make friends. So I think the potential pitfall for the homeschooler is like, yeah, you're isolated, you're trapped, you have a very small niche group of people. But nowadays there's co-ops, there's micro schools, there's so many nuanced forms of homeschooling. So I feel like there's really not that danger anymore. But it's all about, it's important to have that community. Like Asher said, be a team as a family, but also, you know, network and have friends outside of that. So for us, we weren't just isolated, one like Western family living in the jungle, but we actually had our best friends were like the Wano people, like who we lived with and worked among. And so we had so many friends. Some of our best friends to this day are still, you know, from Indonesia. And so, and they were able to pour into us just as we were able to pour into them. And so I think having community is so important. So that is, you know, one thing that can go south if you know, you homeschool under a rock. Like, don't do that. You know, have a community, have a larger network of friends, but also like dig into it, because I think it is great. And like Asher said, I mean, what other opportunity just as parents to be able to instill your values and the things that you're passionate about into your kids. So
it's pretty special for sure.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And like you mentioned earlier, like we're the beneficiaries of that. You through homeschooling and setting your own pace and everything, you're able to go out into the jungle and into your world, into your culture, and film it and show it to us. So like
Sure,
I think definitely doing something right there. That's absolutely stellar. But I do want to pause very quickly and just let everyone know it's right there on the bottom of the screen. We are talking with the Wild Brothers about their new series, now streaming on the Angel Guild, Jungle Kids. You can check it out by becoming an Angel member at angel.com/junglekidslive or scan that QR code. You'll gain access to this show, and they have so many other shows on the platform and a few other shows that we're going to talk about later during tonight's live stream. So stay tuned for that. But up next, we are going to just open, it's not the phones, but open the comment section to a Q&A. So if anyone has any questions for the Wild Brothers, please comment them below. We're shifting through them right now. We'll see if we have any questions currently. If not, I have a few prepped ones, so we won't be silent. But let's chat with our producer.
Ready for them.
Yeah, let's see. Do we have any currently, or do we need to wait a second? Oh, there we go. How did you get the idea of starting the series? By Tracy. Good question, Tracy.
That's a really good question. Yeah, because there was other missionary kids that we knew, and there's a whole community out there, and we were like the only ones who ended up filming our adventures, so it's kind of unique. But I think the very seed of the idea was actually my dad way back when he first learned about missions. It was actually through a video that he learned that there were still people groups in the world that didn't have access to the gospel. And after he watched that video, it kind of rocked his world, and it changed the trajectory of his life forever. And so we always grew up hearing that story, and we were like, wow, wouldn't that be cool if we can make videos about our lives here that could do that for someone else, that could cause them to say, wow, there's a great mission out there that we can do for Christ. And kids can cope on it, families can do it together. It's not as scary as it seems sometimes. Maybe I'll do that with my life. So I think that was definitely like the driving heart of it. And to see if we could do something like that and make that change for someone else, just like a video did for our dad and really our whole family.
And I think we were also during that time, we would get, so we didn't have like access to the internet in the same way we do here, but we would get like the missionary community, they passed around these hard drives that were like full of like all these TV shows. And so one of the shows that we started binging back in the day was Duck Dynasty when it first came out. Yeah. And so also watching a lot of Duck Dynasty, a lot of reality TV, we thought, how cool would it not only be just to create a show like what Keen just described, but also do it in a reality TV format. So that's kind of how Jungle Kids was birthed.
And we were big fans of Bear Grylls and Steve Irwin, and we realized that in the Christian market there wasn't as much adventure content out there.
Yep.
And we were like, hey, our backyard has a lot of adventure, so let's show it off to the world a little bit.
No, that's awesome. That's perfect. Let's go ahead and see if we have another question. Okay, this is from Anonymous, but will there be any new episodes of Jungle Kids? I feel like if there is, we're gonna have to change the title because you guys aren't kids anymore.
That's right.
That's right.
Unless it's with the new generation Wild Brothers, they're kids now. So Jungle Kids 2.0.
Yeah. That's actually a great question because we filmed Jungle Kids and it actually followed our lives for probably like 6 or 7 years, maybe time period. And so that season ended and that season of life ended, but our filming journey had just begun. And so there's another series called Tomb of the Ancients, which documents one of the craziest archaeological journeys that we went on over there, where we discovered some crazy things out on these islands. And that actually is going to be coming to Angel, Lord willing, very soon. So that's kind of like the next stage in the Wild Brothers journey. And then, as you guys know, Off the Couch into Creation is already on the Angel Guild. And that was the first show we made back here in the States. And we actually just finished filming a new show in Alaska, which we're really excited about. So the filmmaking journey has continued, but Jungle Kids is kind of like the prequels to the whole journey. It's kind of the very beginning.
Yeah. So maybe no more episodes of Jungle Kids for a while, but lots more episodes of Wild Brothers in general. Lots more adventures to come.
That's right.
No, that's awesome. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a few trailers we will be showing after this Q&A. So stay tuned. You'll get a sneak peek, and we'll chat a bit more about those. But thank you so much for your answer. What's the next question? Let's see what we got. Cynthia says, sharing the gospel in that part of the world is dangerous. Is sharing the gospel, I think. So that's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. different parts of the world, it can be dangerous to like proselytize. In other words, like push your faith on somebody else. We were actually invited into that part of the jungle, that people group, to work among them, to serve them, learn their language, care for them with medicine. Like there's no hospitals out there, no government presence. So with like a green light from the government and an invitation to come in, we actually went to work with them, and we always operated as you know, not people presenting something, putting something onto their culture, but rather just becoming one of them, and being like little kids, like learning their ways and being humble, and not trying to put some foreign, you know, teaching or religion on them. So we're against like colonialism and all that kind of stuff. But when we did get to the point of, after years having built relationships, learned the language and culture, served them, we presented them with what we said was really important news. Like this was news that changed our lives. It didn't originate with us. Like God's word didn't start with us, our people. It actually came to us many years ago, and now we're bringing it to you. And it was very much an option. We highlighted the value and the importance of it if people were interested in listening, but we left it in their court. And so, by God's grace, we had a captive audience the first time teaching through the story of the Bible. But in terms of danger, there's definitely dangers and risks associated with, you know, living in different countries and taking the good news cross culturally. And there's a lot of spiritual warfare. There's a lot of sickness. There can be also just like rebel activity and unrest, social unrest. And so we definitely experienced all the above over the years, from, you know, getting dire sick with malaria and dengue fever to all sorts of interesting things. So there's definitely an element of danger, but
the Lord is good.
The Lord is good, that's right.
And He kept us safe the whole time. None of us have actually ever broken a bone, which is hilarious. It's like all of our friends here in the States like have all these crazy injury stories, and we live down in the middle of the jungle, and the Lord just kept us safe and protected us, and so all glory to Him for that. You know, not because of us, but He kept us safe.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I agree. Amen to that. But I feel like in the West, we sometimes do just think like, oh, it's far away and might be a little scary or dangerous. So I think that's very much incorrect in many ways. But let's see if we have another question from the audience. Keep them coming. These are great. Holly asks, when is your cooking show coming to Angel? Does Holly have some inside information? Is Holly...
inside information? Wow.
Yeah, super band.
How do you find that out, Holly?
One of my favorite shows we ever produced was called Wild Home, and it's with Morgan's wife and then Hudson's wife, Alyssa and Olivia, and they share all of the tricks and tips to running a wild home, recipes, lifestyle. It's so fun.
It is super fun.
We're still working on getting that through the Angel Guild. We started the first episode, and it did pretty good. We got some great feedback. But we're thinking we need to do another round, kind of get season 2 of Wild Home, kind of get it up to speed for the full season.
And also, Kian's married now, too, so there needs to be 3 wild women in the kitchen instead of 2. So we might have to just film a whole new season for Angel.
It could be a
editing, you know.
That's a great question, though. That's awesome. You knew about
that was a great question.
No, that's so cool. Let's see how. Let me ask my producer. How many questions do you think before we jump into the? Because I would love to talk about the new shows. We got 2 more questions. Let's go.
All right.
Okay, let's go. Here we are. Melissa, what was one of the biggest challenges to sharing the gospel there? What about the biggest blessings as well? So that's good. That's a good duality question. Thank you, Melissa.
That's a great question. Biggest challenges.
Probably one of the biggest challenges was just the fact that a lot of these people groups left in the world who have never had, you know, I mean, we live in 2025. It's like there's the internet, there's 5G. You'd think that every corner of the world would have access to either the Bible or some kind of Christian witness. But the truth is there's still corners of the world that are very isolated. And so I think one of the biggest challenges was just geography. We lived so far removed from, again, government presence like roads, hospitals. The only way to get in and out was a helicopter until we actually developed a small bush airstrip. And so really just people who are isolated geographically just don't have the same opportunities that we do here. So if you live in the Bible Belt, you know, we have churches and there's religious, you know, buildings and clubs or whatever, like on every street corner. But around the world, people aren't privileged to those same things. And they don't have access to God's word. And a lot of them don't have any, like not a scrap of scripture translated in their heart language. So actually going to just getting to be, you know, in proximity with people so where you can learn their languages and develop relationship is very hard. So I think geographically, super tricky.
Yeah. And then probably the biggest blessing was just seeing seeing people's lives change. It was a really dark place in Wano when we first went there, and lots of hardship. And yeah, it was sad. And we saw some of that growing up because we grew up before the church was planted. And so seeing God's word come in and just bring light to the Wano people was a huge blessing and something that we'll always remember and always stick with us. So that was definitely the biggest blessing.
Yeah.
Be God's word actively.
It was kind of almost like the early church in Acts, and it kind of reminds me of like the Apostle Paul. Like he started out as Saul, and he was kind of a crazy guy, but the Lord saved him, and then it went on to be an incredible ministry. And so a lot of the now church leaders in Wano, their past is crazy. They're all guys who are into sorcery and would beat their wives, and warriors who would shoot people, and they all just have crazy stories. But after the gospel, like Ian said, totally just changed their lives in incredible ways. We got to witness that firsthand. And now they're like the most sweet, the kindest, amazing Bible teachers you'll ever meet. And they're kind of like the apostles, almost like the early church apostles. And they've actually taken God's word to other places within the tribe. They've created 5 satellite churches in Wanaland, and now they're actually sending out their own missionaries to other parts of Indonesia, cross-culturally to different people groups, different languages. So it's really cool to see kind of like, one, like how God could use, just my parents and another family from, the West, and send them over to this really dark, remote area in the jungle and see the church spread and see them take God's word to other places. And it's so cool how only God could do that, that transformation.
No, I love that, and I think that Book of Acts comparison is so real, because the whole book is just full of hardship, yet blessings, and it's just so cool to read and so cool to see with your guys' show and what you're chatting about on this live stream. So good question, Melissa. That was a really good question.
That was a good one.
But we do have one more, so let's see if we can top that question. It will be hard to. Holly again, here we go. How many kids do the brothers have now? Holly wants to know.
Like our own children, so 3 of us are married. So I have Morgan. I have 2 children, a son and a daughter. It just turned 3 and 1. My brother Hudson has 2 kids as well. A 2-year-old and a just born
5 days ago.
Yeah, that's why Hudson's not here.
And then Kian's newly married, no kids yet, and Asher's still single. So
footloose and fancy free.
Right. Gotta get this guy married off.
I think I know what Holly's doing. Holly did have the inside information about the cooking show. I think she wants to get the inside information on the new Jungle Kids show that you guys are going to do with all of the children. Obviously, that's what Holly's doing. Yeah.
Never know.
We see you,
also,
Holly.
I recognize you for all the guild comments. So shout out to Holly. Thanks for all the awesome comments.
Oh, that's great.
On the guild for a long time.
That's super cool.
We're old friends.
That's right.
I think that's a perfect segue then, because let's start talking about stuff you have in the guild and what our audience can look forward to in the future. I have it here just to start with. Apparently, there's an archaeological show. I kind of struggled saying that, but is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so this was a fun adventure. We were in a different location than Jungle Kids. Jungle Kids up in the mountains. This new show, Tomb of the Ancients, is in the coastal region where there's these just epically beautiful islands. And while we're living there, we started hearing rumors of like an ancient people that used to live in these islands. And so we started doing a little searching, and we started finding clues and realized that, wow, we had stumbled upon a crazy discovery. So it's a fun series. It was a cool adventure. Yeah.
That was a great hook. I want to watch that now. That was great. I'm also being told that we have a trailer to show, so let's show the audience.
Let's sounds good.
Hey, Hudson, I want you to come down and check this out. Who found something really interesting? Think you're gonna want to see it.
I've been going to several villages to try to find out the truth, but my conclusion is that even the men that are supposed to know the truth don't know.
What are our chances of actually finding something?
Yeah, not so good. Max said about 90% is already gone, but that leaves 10%.
Like you saw, it's fading fast. In a few years, this isn't going to be here.
If one of the 4 teams lives here, then we're bound to find some remains.
I think this is a super cool way that the 4 of us can contribute to Indonesia by documenting some of this lost history and culture.
This is not like anything I've ever seen before.
Sold. That's all I needed. That was great.
Oh man,
Nice.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Just wait till you see the whole series. That was just a little sneak peek.
Yeah, so the first episode's passed on the Guild, and so you guys should be seeing the other episodes rolling through here in the next month or two. So we're excited about getting that full series out on Angel.
Yeah, we're quite a bit older than Jungle Kids, but have the same heart and passion for discovery and mystery. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I think that trailer had such Bear Grylls vibes. I think it really did.
Let's go.
I love the way it was edited. That was fantastic. But let's just go ahead and jump into the next show that we can kind of give a sneak peek for, and this is an animated show. Why don't you go ahead and tell the audience about that?
Yeah, so the animated show, I don't think we have a sneak peek ready for that one, because that one it's still in the very bare bones section. We're still getting our first kind of animation figured out, the characters, but we're super excited about that. So it's going to be an animated series called Wild Bros, and it's basically going to be kind of like based on the stories in Jungle Kids, kind of based on our adventures growing up as missionary kids, seeing crazy animals, going on awesome adventures, and learning that following Christ is the ultimate adventure in life. But it's going to be all an animated format. So we're really excited about that because it's going to be sharing the message of adventure and creation and the Great Commission with a young audience in a completely new way, in a way that there's no other really animated series doing that right now.
Yeah, I see kind of a cross between like Phineas and Ferb and Netflix's Carmen Sandiego. So
more like Wild Kratts though, because of all the adventure and the animals and stuff
every
like that.
series you've ever seen boiled into one.
It's better and with more wildness.
No, but that's in the very early production stages, so that'll definitely be like a 2026 project.
Yeah.
Well, that's
For
awesome.
sure.
I
We're
think
excited
that
about that.
description is all the sneak peek we need. That sounds great. And moving right along to this next show that we actually do have a sneak peek to show, but why don't you tell me about it first?
Yes.
This is a gold prospecting show. Am I correct?
Is
yeah, so Gold Survival is the latest installment of the growing Wild Brothers franchise.
Fresh off the press. We just got back from Alaska not too long ago.
I know,
So we're still like
going to give the sizzle peek, guys, just because like it's still in the beginning. So this is a very, very sneak peek right here. This is very
nobody's
special.
seen this. Like literally nobody's seen this yet.
You guys are like the first people to see that.
First people to see it. But basically, the synopsis is that it's kind of a gold expedition that goes south. That turns into a survival situation. So partnering with some different some cast from like Bering Sea Gold, Alaska, The Last Frontier shows, partnering with the Wild Brothers to go on a gold expedition. And you can roll the trailer and kind of get a taste of it.
Just you wait, listen for the storm. Hear the difference in the wind. When dark clouds form and start to turn, I'll run again. Far away when the hurricane comes in.
Yeah, welcome to Alaska, boys. Here we go. Once you get upriver there, you're in the wilderness for sure.
This is the last stop. After this, we're away from civilization into the backcountry.
Gold, we got gold. We're not out here on a wild goose chase. There's actually gold in these rivers, and we just found it.
I'm starting to miss my family. Think about them a lot. What they're up to. I've talked it over with the brothers, and we feel like we need to go further upriver. We're just not getting enough gold here.
Hey boys, I'm finding gold.
This stuff is rich. There's thousands of dollars of gold. It's kind of unbelievable.
Oh yeah, baby.
I think we found the secret spot.
What's taking the group so long? Why aren't they here yet?
Need to come back to base camp, hike down, please.
What? They're gonna leave without us?
From the beginning of this trip, I've been trying to lead us to success. This is not ending how I imagined it.
Being out here is giving me some perspective about what's truly valuable. Gold, it's heavy and it slows you down.
Almost there, guys. Come on.
Ambition is good, but it becomes really bad when it becomes what Christ is supposed to be in your life.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Wait, guys, I think I found a spot.
You see us now? All right, keep coming, keep coming. You see us? Yeah.
What's your left? Come on, Nate.
Don't go anywhere near the show.
Should be a piece of cake.
That was incredible. I'm not even kidding. That was so, like, goodness gracious, wow. Whoever edits those also, it's like, I don't know who it is, but they deserve a raise. That's killer. That was so good.
That was a crazy trip. We almost didn't make it back.
Yeah.
I mean, having a little PTSD.
They say it's reality TV. That was reality TV. That was about as reality TV as you can get. I mean, there was some moments there where we thought we might die. Not gonna lie. Like that water that we were crossing, like it shows the shot of Morgan in the water. Literally the river, the parts of the river that weren't fast flowing were iced over that day. It was straight glacier water that was freezing cold. No. And that's how you get hypothermia and die. And
tell the stories after the series.
Yeah, we'll tell the stories later.
We're gonna. But I would love then to talk about how people can support these projects, because am I correct in saying that all of these projects are in the guild or they're going to be in the guild?
Yes, yep. So Tomb of the Ancients is running through the guild right now. Gold Survival, we're still just editing that. So the sizzle is basically all we have right now. So we're working on editing that together. But really right now, like you guys viewing our content on Angel is a huge support, like big time. Like that's kind of what's keeping us running at this point. So if you guys want to support these new projects, if you guys like where this is going, like we're getting a franchise on Angel. We have like 3 shows out right now and 1 more on the way. So there's a lot of Wild Brothers content there for you guys to watch. It's family friendly, it's encouraging, and it's gonna be encouraging to your faith. And yeah, go watch it, and that directly supports us making these new shows. So
yeah, and if you haven't subscribed to Angel, subscribe, get on the guild so that you can see these early, because like Kean said, these episodes are gonna be basically pushed through the guild and you get exclusive access before anybody else.
And if you're on the guild, then give us a thumbs up and vote it through.
That's right.
So that's a big one too. Yeah.
No, that's perfect. I think you guys nailed it. That's exactly what I would have said. It's please support the Wild Brothers by watching their shows that are currently on Angel. That is the best way to support them. But you mentioned earlier you've seen Holly in the guild.
Yeah, absolutely. She always drops us a super sweet comment. So
that's so
always
nice.
Happy to feed her.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, because we've been on the guild for a while now. So there's dozens of people that we're like friends with by this point. I mean, we look forward to seeing their comments whenever they drop something positive. We're always like, oh, it's so and so, So it's really special. It's like a community almost. It's really awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty neat what you guys have going on. It's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and for the audience members who might be watching this stream and don't know what we're talking about, the Angel Guild is a revolutionary system, very much outside of Hollywood, to where we give the power of what comes to our Angel platform to you, the audience. So not only if you go to angel.com/junglekidslive, not only do you gain access to Jungle Kids and all of the content that the Wild Brothers already has on Angel, but you get to vote on stuff that currently is in the guild and decide if it comes to Angel. So all of the projects we just spoke about, please join the guild, and you'll probably see them going through. They mentioned the Ancient Tomb show is currently in the guild, so check that out, vote for it, give feedback. I know you guys mentioned earlier that you loved receiving the feedback.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
it's so helpful.
I think it's huge. The partnership between the guild members and the filmmakers is, like you said, revolutionary. So it's helped us grow as filmmakers, and the community that you guys are building is incredible. So it's a cool thing to be a part of, and we're excited.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to wrap up. I couldn't agree more. Thank you all so much for joining me in tonight's show. I'll go ahead and just turn the mic to you guys if there's anything you would like to say to close this out. But please do so now.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for listening this long. It's been fun chatting and hearing some stories about the good old days back in the jungle.
We'll be back, too. This won't be our last live stream. So we got new shows coming, and we'll be back here for any more questions later. So, thanks so much for the support.
Have a great weekend, guys.
God bless everybody.
God bless.
See you guys.
Thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody.